Okay, I have 6:30 and we'll do an audio check. If someone in Zoom land could let us know if we've got good audio, I'd appreciate it.
Hear you.
I can hear you now.
Yeah, and yeah, Paul's on.
Yeah, Paul's here.
Oh, okay.
7 years, that's okay. What happened? Well, that was weird. Yeah. Yeah, you can both, they can both be on.
Hello, check, check. All right.
Okay. First item up, any additions, deletions, or correction to the agenda?
My address is 10680 on the agenda. It's okay in the packet.
Is it 90? Or the
There it's 90.
Oh, okay.
680. That's
Okay.
the packet is fine.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that.
So we have a correction on the agenda. It should be 10680.
80.
I'd entertain a motion on approving the agenda correction.
This is Gregory. I'll make a motion to approve the correction.
I'll second.
I'm sorry. Was that Paul who made the motion?
No.
Gregory.
Okay. Thank you.
More second. Been
Second.
moved and seconded that we approve the agenda as modified. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. What's our next item up?
Minutes.
The minutes? Our next item is approval of the November 9th, 2020. Pardon me, I got echo going on in my monitors. November 9th, 2021 minutes. If there's no corrections, I'd entertain a motion.
This is Paul. Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes from November 9th, 2021. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. We'll move on now to our public comment. Did we have anyone signed up?
No one registered.
Okay. As we move into public hearing, if there's any public comment on new business, we can let them speak then. Okay, so moving on, then
And
Six.
did you have anything? Any public? Okay.
okay. Moving on to item 6, new business, 10680 Florence, deck and roof, I believe.
Yes. So Mr. Rob Seaver is here, Town Hall, attending the meeting. He's requesting the Planning Commission's consideration for a permit to replace the roof and deck of the attached garage at 10680 Florence. So at least I have it right in here. The application was received at Town Hall and paid for on December 6th. The construction plan will be submitted to Pikes Peak Regional, and the applicant has been notified that contractor must apply for a town business license prior to any work being done. The project summary, if we go down here to the attached letter, basically has a detailed description of the replacement. Just looking at the colors, we talked about the color palette, and it is indeed earth tones as recommended. And all of the materials, or I should say none of the materials, are on the prohibited list at all. Going back up to all the specifications of the zoning. So this is a R1 10,000, side 10, rear 10, and front 15 setbacks. It is in the hillside overlay zone. Staff has no concerns about the project within the hill overlay zone due to the minimal, no dirt grading or no footprint changes at all. One thing to note as we go down to the development plan requirements, the setbacks do encroach, or the measurements do encroach on that 10-foot side setback. However, this is covered in the non-conforming development section of our code, which basically states that any prior non-conforming uses are allowed to continue as long as the footprint or the use is not changing of the structure. So again, no change is being made to the garage footprint at all. Basically just replacing what is already there, which is the rooftop deck and the overall roof of the structure. So I'm happy to take questions, and Mr. Seaver is here as well. But staff recommends approval of the project contingent on the contractor obtaining a Town of Green Mountain Falls business license. And I do track all statuses through Pikes Peak Building, so they basically take it from here.
Okay, commissioners, do you have any questions for Nate?
Hey, Nate, this is Paul. A clarification, the staff memo has an approval for replacement of the garage roof, but we don't do roof approvals at the planning commission, right?
Yeah, but since this has we do structural changes and as well as the deck situation. So because this is kind of an all-in-one project, it just kind of, it falls into our purview since it's all kind of combined into one project.
I take the deck off to get to the roof, which is the problem.
And Mr. Seaver just commented he had to take the deck off to get to the roof, which was the origin of the problems here. So everything's just all connected.
Okay, no, I think I understand. I just want to make sure that we're not setting a precedent or somehow communicating that we're in the roof approval business.
Yes, thank you though for that.
We don't do the actual roof itself. We do the architectural reviews. That's what we're covered under. If there's no more questions for staff, Severs, would you like to make a statement to the commission?
I don't know that I have any problems. Feedback. I don't know that I have anything else to add beyond the letter of explanation. I think that pretty much covers it, other than to say that it, like I said before, it's putting it back kind of the way it was, except conforming to modern code. I had to take the deck off to get to the roof that needs
Everything
to be
else.
replaced. So it's that simple. Believe it or not. Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioners, do we have any questions for Mr. Severs? If there's no more questions or comments, I would actually entertain a motion.
Todd, this is Paul. Move to approve the architectural zoning application for garage and roof and deck replacement at 10680 Florence.
Can,
Isn't there a contingency on the?
can we add to your motion contingent on the contractor getting a business license for the town?
Yes. So should I restate that, or is that good as it stands?
I think we're good. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the project contingent on contractor obtaining a license at 10680 Florence. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Seaver. We'll, as soon as it's in the Pikes Peak Regional system, basically I'll just go in there and put a town stamp on it. So everything from here on out is through them. So thanks for your detailed application. Appreciate it.
And I suspect that at one point in time, the setbacks were done for the original lots. So yeah,
That's a whole other discussion because most all the lots up here are 5,000 5-foot setbacks. That's,
yeah. And nowadays
to say my house is a moderate sized house is a little bit of a stretch. It's 1,000 square foot cabin.
yeah,
like
it's,
everything else. So
but now they lump all the square footage together. And that's we have tools by which we can, look at things if something were to happen where you need to build and expand and whatnot. There's variances and stuff like that we can also look at.
And not to get off the topic, because I didn't really have an issue because it was recommended approval anyway. But that was the question. It's one thing if you're just replacing something as is, which is what this is. It's another thing if you are putting an addition on a home.
Yep.
Or something like that.
Exactly.
That our 1/10,000 puts a lot of restraints on people who are, in my case, 11,000 square foot lot is at the very bottom of the 10,000 range. So obviously 10 feet, it sounds funny in any other jurisdiction, but 10 feet makes quite a bit of a difference in this town. It's not just my lot, it's 80% of the lots.
Yeah, like I say, we have tools by which, if there are ever expansion considerations, we can also, there's variances and stuff like that we can look at. And it was pretty obvious to me when looking at it that there were two lots originally, and they sized that garage off the smaller.
And I won't get into too much. The fact that we have a housing stock here, which my house in 56 is one thing, there's houses that are 100 years old, that it's very hard to kind of put a cookie cutter planning and zoning code, let alone a building code, to that and have everything kind of be squeaky clean at the end of the day. I just want to make sure we're not setting up taxpayers and landowners for potential more of a discussion of planning and zoning than there needs to be when there are categories or at least tweaks to and I know there's an ongoing discussion about planning and zoning code, but when there are tweaks that probably need to be made to some of these numbers to get people more in a situation unlike mine where all of a sudden none of the setbacks work for the house that's existing, that could be a hardship.
We've had that before, and like I said, we have a variance tool. And so far, I think everything that's come up on a variance, I don't know if any variances have not passed.
And that's in 24 years is having made probably 20 or 30 submittals to this group. That's my experience as well. So I'm not grumping too much here. I'm just saying maybe we should, when we get a chance, and the list of things is immense, but when we get a chance, we might want to look at like the square footage of lot, because all of a sudden now that's the only thing that conforms in R1 10,000 is the lot size. All the rest, the street frontage, none of that works. the way it's written now. So it looks like I have, 10 variances if I want to do an addition. And that's not the way the system's supposed to work. You're supposed to get people kind of, even the existing stock, into a position where there's might be one issue you have to deal with, not everything that's in R1 and 10,000 is incorrect for the lot. So that's not that I'm planning on doing that. I'm very happy to improve the data and I'll just shut up with that.
So, well, I'll just comment, we are going through a code rewrite and we're going to talk more about that right now. So, but you're welcome to join that discussion, and it sounds like you have a lot of good input. So we definitely take that into your comments into consideration. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that is actually our next item of business is item 7A, the discussion on the code rewrite. And Nate, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, so I met with Nina Williams. She's the attorney that is has been contracted to rewrite, or at least help rewrite the land use code. And just a brief reminder about the process. I was not here when this started. I believe this started almost a year ago now, and there was much different staffing situation at the time. We had a planning intern, and we also had Julia, who had been here for a while. That was very knowledgeable. The original plan was to have Julia and Zach contribute quite a bit to the rewrite. And because both of them left, and some other things that personal things that happened over the last couple months, the timeline has been pushed back a little bit. But I did meet with Nina last week, and I'll just put this, I'll add this to the, I guess, agenda, or I'll at least put this in the minutes so that this is public record, and so people can see what is the proposed timeline is that we can discuss and maybe approve as a group tonight. So at this time, she does have installment 1 done, a draft, and that covers basically all the administrative needs of what is now chapter 16, the main bulk of the land use code. So administration and procedures is done. I have that, excuse me, we met and just talked through some specific questions I had, some clarifications, some grammar things, little things, and basically got it all cleaned up. After this meeting, I'll distribute this to the Planning Commission for any feedback. And I'll also include the guiding documents that were originally included in her proposal for the contract, just to refocus everyone on the summary and the things that we're looking for and considering as we try to revise this code. So I will do this in a way, I'll just basically do a BC email to all the planning commissioners. Just a reminder, this is not to be a discussion that goes back and forth with members, but just looking for, any obvious egregious errors, omissions, things like that, or, any concerns you have. Then just reply to me with the feedback. And I think hopefully December 31st is a reasonable due date for that. At the January 11th meeting, then I'll have that. Obviously, I'll have forwarded any feedback to Nina. She can contemplate all that. At the January 11th meeting, we hadn't planned to have her back, but we can if there are any major concerns or questions that maybe she can answer for us regarding particularly installment 1 or anything that's happened to this point. But we did, however, talk about having a work session just specific to the code rewrite on January 25th. And this work session would be basically her due date to have installments 2 and 3 done 2, it covers districts and uses. 3 covers development standards and any other town goals or chapters that weren't included in the first 2. She will forward me a PowerPoint similar to the one we had for installment 1, where she kind of highlights the major changes or her changes based on best practices and her experience, and then any kind of major discussion points that she would like feedback from us or from the public comment. So basically, if that, we can talk about this date here in a little bit, but this is a quote from her. So basically, I'll just read it. Summaries of Articles 2 and 3 will be presented in my PowerPoint. Based on her drafts, she's working on things that are not recommended in the current code, fixing those things, including ideas that have been presented in the comp plan, public forums, board discussions, and then also best practices based on her experience. So as an example, a discussion of Article 4 will include examples and suggestions. We'll also include a facilitated discussion where she gathers input and specific community standards or desired standards. And then Article 5, subdivision will be a reorganization of the current code along with updates and inclusion of best practices. Article 6, historic preservation, comes mostly from direction from the comp plan and will be taken from codes she has worked with that she likes best. The entire drafts of the installments will not be included in the agenda, but like I said, she'll basically include in her PowerPoint all of the main change points and all the main items where she desires feedback from us. And again, I'll try to publish that for the work session, publish the agenda, a week or so ahead of time, so there's plenty of time for public and commission review for feedback.
Nate, would this be something that the public is invited to be a part of the work session on the 25th?
Yeah, it will be a public meeting, so there'll be a chance for public comment. So assuming this timeline works, again, we'll talk about that date in a minute. Assuming everything goes smoothly and we come to an agreement as far as planning commission goes for agreeing that the full draft, including installments 1 through 3, is complete, then the entire draft, the soonest that could move forward would be the February 8th meeting, which would again have public comment. The full drafts would have been published before that meeting. And then if the draft is then recommended for approval by Planning Commission to the town board, it could go on the board agenda for March 1st. And just a reminder that Nina, this project's been going on for a while, longer than I've been involved, but she has been to a number of community meetings, board meetings for feedback, and then taking a lot of notes from the comp plan. And the overall goals from all of those sources, kind of priorities are: make the code more user-friendly, easier to understand, modernize development review and approval procedures, update zoning and overlay districts, revise use regulations, improve development standards, implement certain community-specific goals identified in the 2019 comp plan. And probably the biggest area of conversation and feedback that we need to think about, or you do as a commission, are some of those community-specific development standards, kind of exactly what Mr. Seaver was just talking about, like what makes sense for our community and the way that the housing stock is now. We want rules that make sense, that don't burden people who are trying to improve their properties. But a lot of those things come through via basically administrative guidelines that will either be included directly in the code if it makes sense to do it that way, or another thing we're going to have is an administrative manual, basically that that makes things like sheds and simpler projects easier to approve. So the admin manual can have standards for sheds that makes it simple for possible administrative approval instead of going to planning commission for every little thing. So just think about those kind of things, triggers for when projects should go to planning commission, or what's that threshold to where the public meeting planning commission needs to get involved, or can it just be administratively approved if we have very defined and common sense rules and regulations. So anyway, that's what I've got based on my last discussion with Nina. So I guess the biggest question in here is, does that January 25th date work for everyone? And does anyone have any other questions at this time?
I'm going to have a hard time with that date, but the following Tuesday, February 1st works well. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how important it is. But
that night's a board meeting, so that would be a bad night.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, I guess we could, if that date's not working, we could just plan on doing it at the February 8th meeting. It would just push back everything.
Well, I don't want to slow up progress. So if everybody else can be there, don't build it around me.
Yeah, I would prefer to have a separate work session because at the work session, we're not actually voting on approving it. We're gathering ideas, presenting information, and trying to put some of the final touches on. That's just my thoughts, though. Gregory, you're muted.
Yeah, I was just saying, I agree that we should have a work session before we have to vote on some of this.
Does that date work for you?
Yeah, it worked.
Mr. Yingling, does that work for you?
Yes. Yeah, Nate, that's fine with me.
And
For me as well.
Lamar, I should say that you'll have plenty. I mean, I think even though that date may not work for you, but I think you have plenty of chance to kind of review and make forward some input to us, either Todd or myself, and we could certainly incorporate that into the meeting.
That's good, Nate. And if I can juggle my schedule, I will. So.
Yeah, and are we all okay with getting the comments back by December 31st? Sounds like we are. For the work session, I'm going to propose that we try to get as many commission bodies actually here in the building as we can, assuming no other major hiccups or issues hit us between now and then. No, just no. Schedule it. Yeah. I think I can just administrate it. Yeah, wasn't on the agenda for action, so. Yeah. All right. Yeah, what's our?
So I will forward everyone those documents, just as kind of a reminder. The installment 1 full draft, all basically the project documents that Nina has been working off of, the scheduling, the major points of focus and those things, and to kind of refresh all of our memories and move on to the next step. Thanks.
Okay, if there's no more discussion on item 7A or old business, we'll go ahead and on to item number 8, other business. I think you've probably seen some of the stuff in social media, at least, about Zoom calls. We will continue to use Zoom in this committee and commission for the time being. If we run into a situation where we have funding issues for licenses, then we might try to switch over to Teams. But for now, we'll remain and keep it with the Zoom. Another item to bring up in January, we're supposed to elect new leadership on the commission. I will be running for mayor, and so probably want to have someone else take the reins during that time. Let's see, any other commissioners, do you have any other business to bring up?
I just want to repeat what I said last month. It's a cold night. A lot of us are concerned about catching flu and various things like that. It's really important that we let the BOT know that we want to continue Zoom meetings. And it's a very low cost. And I think there's certainly money for it if our committee just wanted to pay for it, if the town doesn't want to. But I think it's important the BOT knows how important it is on this committee for our functioning that we're able to do things remotely.
And hopefully I represented us reasonably well at the last meeting. I basically stated my preference, but I also recognize that there are things that this tool can actually serve us very well for. If there's no other business, we will adjourn, and it is 7:02. Thanks, everyone.